Am I the asshole for telling my cousin's fiancé that her nephew is actually her child? Some context. I live in a country where marriage is a gigantic aspect of one's life. If you have a child out of wedlock, then your life is pretty much over, especially if you're a woman. I have a cousin. I used to really like her as a child, but she grew up to be very scummy and intolerable. Long story short, she's a homewrecker, gold digger, and does drugs which can get your entire family in jail because it's extremely illegal here. Rehab has not worked. She also has a child out of wedlock, 5 years old. It has been a lot of effort on our family to help her raise her child, so when she said she found a man, we were all very happy. Her man turned out to be one of the most intelligent, kindest, and respectful people I have ever met in my entire life. He is organized, structured, educated, etc., the complete opposite of my cousin. Well, the pandemic has forced all of my family to be in very close quarters with one another. And I got a big glimpse into my cousin and her fiancé's relationship, and it is not healthy at all. Not at all. Nope. She manages to put on a front most of the time, but there are other times where she's extremely manipulative and abusive to him. She calls him names, tells him he needs to make more money, judges his decisions, is insanely jealous of every woman he hangs around including his actual sister, etc., etc. She's done drugs in his house, and she's also lied to him and says that her son is actually her nephew. She told him that she wants to bring her nephew with them when they get married, but it's not a dealbreaker. Really? Your child isn't a fucking dealbreaker? So I've actually just so happened to see this type of situation play out in real life. One of my uncles who used to be extremely pristine and strict married a woman who, well, she wasn't nice. Divorce isn't really a thing in my region, so he was stuck with her, spiraled into an alcohol addiction, and was never the same afterwards. I don't know if my cousin's fiancé would have ever went to that level, but I didn't want him to fucking ruin his life marrying my cousin. I told him that I was concerned about their relationship. He just said that he's working on it. I also told my cousin to tone her shit down, but she blew up in my face for it. Months and months passed. Everything stayed the same. I could see her fiancé growing miserable, but the wedding date was nearing. One day while we were having lunch, I just let it slip that my cousin's nephew is actually her son. I guess manipulation and abuse wasn't enough to steer him away, but revealing to him that his fiancé had a son out of wedlock was enough, and he left soon after. My cousin was, of course, extremely pissed, but I told her that she shouldn't have hid her son in the first place and she shouldn't have treated him like crap. My entire family is fuming at me now though. Am I the asshole?
Not the asshole, your cousin sounds awful. You probably saved the guy from a lifetime of misery.
Not the asshole. If he found out later, it would have been a lot more drama.
Not the asshole. But good lord, where on earth do you live?
Not the asshole. She can't run from her lies forever. He had every right to know.
It sounds like the kid's life was better off when she called him a nephew. Hope you didn't fuck up his life just to spite your cousin.
Good God. Not the asshole. You saved this man from an utterly miserable marriage to a terrible person. And while male victims of domestic abuse and violence aren't talked about enough, and I'm sure even less so in your culture, men can be victims of abuse also. A good man like him does not deserve that. He should have a wife who cherishes him and whom he can fully trust and adore as his partner in life. Your family may be mad that now you're all still stuck with her, but turning him into a sacrificial lamb just to be rid of her would be inexcusable. Doing the right thing is not always the easy or popular thing, unfortunately.
Your cousin does sound awful, but you started this post saying having a child out of wedlock is super taboo where you are, so of course you letting it slip. You probably knew he would leave. While being in an abusive relationship isn't great for anyone involved, witnesses either. If you talked to him about her behavior and he chose to stay, then he made a decision you didn't agree with. Your cousin does sound awful. But now that you let that cat out of the bag, you know it's probably gonna spread like wildfire about her having a son. So even if she does ever get her act together, she'll have this taboo out and in everyone's mouths. I just don't think anyone here is a winner, except the fiancé. I guess he didn't leave because of abuse but because a child was born out of wedlock. Woman shrugging.
It sounds like your entire country is the asshole for treating women so badly.
Not only did you save this poor man, but you also protected her son. Can you imagine the kind of life he would have had, being her nephew, possibly forever? Your family are all a-holes in my book. It sounds like they wanted her to marry him so they wouldn't have to help with her kid as much. Maybe I'm misinterpreting, but all in all it's way too selfish. Sometimes the right thing is not the popular thing, but definitely not the asshole on my book.
You are the asshole and I think you know it. You deliberately betrayed your cousin, her child and your family just to feel self-satisfied. It wasn't your business to interfere in their relationship. I think a lot of the commentators are just culturally ignorant and don't realize that hiding a child in some countries is as understandable as hiding that you are homosexual in others because of the level of prejudice in those places. Basically, you outed a person and that could have put her in danger or ruin her life forever, as there is no reason for her ex not to spread this around if he is as judgmental a person as you.
Almost sounds like you're into the guy.
Not the asshole. On a societal level, it sucks that her son would be a deal breaker for most men and she has to hide him to get married. However, she sounds like an abusive, awful person. You very likely have the guy the out he was looking for and needed, saving him from a lifetime of abuse. Your family is mad because they came so close of being rid of her and whitewashing their reputation. I feel really sorry for her kid. Info. Do you have a crush on the guy? I'm not saying what you did was wrong. It's just the way you described him came off as though you did while also feeling he was too good for your cousin? Either way, I'm glad he found out and saved himself from a life of misery by walking away.
Not the asshole. You saved a good guy from making a huge mistake. I just feel bad that her child can't be rescued from her too. Everyone sucks here. Sure, you are the least of the assholes, but you are all giant assholes.
Your cousin seems like a jerk, if you are to be believed. However, you ruined her life and her kid's life by meddling in something that was none of your business. Hope it was worth it to keep that kid from having a father.
You are the asshole. It wasn't an accident that you let the truth about your cousin's son slip to her fiancé. You knew what the consequences of that would be, and did it anyway. Reading this, it just sounds like you wanted to punish your cousin for her behavior. You were purposely trying to split them up. Your cousin's fiancé is an adult and he was choosing to continue in the relationship, despite how your cousin was behaving. It really wasn't your place to intervene. Mind your own business and stay out of other people's relationships.
I don't know what culture y'all come from, but I'm glad I don't have to endure it. I feel bad for everyone in that situation. Slut-shaming, drug-shaming, potentially ruining a child's life all just to be spiteful towards your cousin, who clearly is no angel. Everyone sucks here, hands down.
Not the asshole. The family is probably pissed because it means she isn't leaving and they have to continue putting up with her.
It seems like your entire family is also not that great.
Info. Have you seen Downton Abbey?
I'm borderline about including you in the a-hole department, but it wasn't really your place to reveal that information. You're not nearly as much of an ass as she is, and I understand why you did it, but you shouldn't really have made it your business.
Everyone sucks here. Your cousin is obviously a terrible person, but also it's none of your business to interfere in the relationship and spill the beans on your cousin.
Everyone sucks here and I think you are aware you suck the most. What do you think the judgment of AITA_Philippines, if it existed, would be?
Not the asshole, but I find it really difficult to judge a culture I'm not a part of, especially when its values run so deeply through this situation. I'm some dipshit in Australia. What does your culture say about this behavior? Not the asshole. What is wrong with your cousin? How long was she gonna keep the lie about her son up? What was her plan long term here? Reveal to him after they were married or just lie to her kid his whole life? Does she even want her son? Just based on that alone you saved this man a world of hurt, and that's not even going into her abusive behavior.
If you have a child out of wedlock, then your life is pretty much over, especially if you're a woman. One day while we were having lunch, I just let it slip that my cousin's nephew is actually her son. Yes, you're the asshole.
Everyone sucks here. You should have minded your own business. It sounds like your culture is absolutely terrible to women and you weaponized it against your cousin for something that doesn't affect you. And to ruin what could have been a chance for her to have a better life and become a better person. Which is also good for her child.
You are the asshole. It's simply not your place, not your relationship. And how do you know that he didn't already know and was intentionally ignoring it so he could save face? If anything, your culture sounds like an even bigger asshole. But perhaps your view of your cousin is painted by the strict conservatism that you were brought up with. If you lived in a culture not ruled by religion, perhaps you'd be less judging. And perhaps your cousin wouldn't need to get married to someone she clearly disrespected simply because she needs to do it.
Your family is only upset because they were tired of her and we're going to dump her on him. I'm sorry, but you are the asshole. It was not your secret to break. You're entitled to an opinion, and clearly you have made your opinion about your cousin clear to everyone involved, including your cousin's fiancé, but disclosing this information was really, well, a dick move. You didn't do it for the fiancé or the child, you did it to punish your cousin because you think she doesn't deserve such a nice man. But who are you to judge?
Great, now you guys are stuck with her.
You meddled and stuck your nose where it didn't belong. That is a fact. You have taken away a good thing that woman and kid could have had. Having it good and feeling finally secured in a marriage, in your culture, may have high chances of changing a person for the better. You are the asshole. Just mind your damn business in life. Not the asshole they were hoping to trap him by the time he'd inevitably find out. FTR, I have 2 children out of wedlock, both will have been born in the same country you're in, so I get the stigma even though it's outdated. That being said, she's an asshole not for having an illegitimate child but for hiding her alleged mate child from someone she plan on marrying. Oh, and for her abuse as well. WTF, tell her to get a job instead of nagging men for money. Lol, isn't it Downtown Abbey plot?
You are the asshole and you need to reflect on what made you act that, because there's a clear reason we can all see. None of this was about that kid.
Not the asshole. A decent human being in my opinion. You saved that poor guy a life of misery and hopefully taught your toxic cousin a serious lesson in lying. Kudos to you.
Honestly, if he was fine with letting the nephew live with them, the deal breaker was probably being lied to all this time. Honestly, it sounds to me like you helped him dodge a bullet. If your family is that upset with you, that doesn't say great things about them. You are the asshole. Mind your own business. Especially in your fucked up country that oppresses women so harshly. She's trying to make her way through that bullshit. I guarantee there are men in your same country who do drugs and have sex out of wedlock and live just fine. She is trying to make her life work. And honestly, the story about your uncle makes it pretty suspicious that you're just quick to jump on the man's side. You seem pretty sexist. I hope your cousin can be day live in America. Poor girl.
Not the asshole. It sounds you might have saved that guy from having his life completely screwed. Not the asshole. You did right by that great guy. Hope he becomes wiser in this aspect now.
You basically ruined your cousin's life and this whole post feels very slut-shaming.
Not the asshole.
Not the asshole. Your family just wanted her off their hands. You did the right thing. Just hope that the poor kid grows up with some decent people around him.
Not the asshole. An adult should not expect other people to lie for them, no matter if they are family or friends. Friendship and goodwill will end when you'll just expect of me to be a miserable human being.
Do you really have a doubt? Or do you want free internet points? Not the asshole. Not the asshole, your cousin is awful. If she were also nice, I'd say it was a duck move, but she got what she deserved. Also, just to let you know, fiancé is a woman, and fiancé is a man. It comes from French where adjectives and nouns change endings depending on the gender of the thing being talked about. Another example, blonde man and blonde woman. Not the asshole, at the minimum she's a very dishonest person, and yes, he absolutely deserved to know before the wedding.
Not the asshole, but I'm wondering if you really did this for this man or because you hate your cousin.
Not the asshole. Who did she even claim the kid belonged to? They just let her lie about it. TBH, all your family seems toxic for just letting her lie to someone like that and about to get married under those pretenses.